right, folks, welcome to a different edition of the Formula Hooligan podcast. I am Alex Gomes, and you are?
Charlie Hosey.
And as you can see, we have two guests digitally. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
My name is Kieran Brigelli. I'm a friend of Alex's for a long time back. I'm 30 years old, and I race outlaw karts in California.
Sick. You won me at California. Wait, whereabouts California? Before we go any further.
I live in Chico, and I race with the Red Bluff Outlaws in the winter, and I race at Cycleland Speedway in the summer.
Sick. Nice. All right, Rick, you're up.
I'm Rick. I'm pretty sure everyone that follows this podcast pretty much knows me because I think it's all NHKA people. So, hey everybody.
It's that guy.
Super fan.
It's that IndyCar guy. God.
IndyCar. Well, yeah, that's the point of this episode. We're actually kind of taking a step out of me and Charles's comfort zone today and going to try to focus this episode around IndyCar, seeing as the Indy 500 is next weekend. And like I said, not really comfort zone for the two of us. We're more Formula One guys. But Kieran and Rick are the two guys that I know personally that are the most into IndyCar of anyone I know. So I figured it'd be appropriate to have these guys on and get their input on what they think is going to happen for next weekend's race. And if they even want to give a little bit of history on their IndyCar fandom, they can go for it. So I guess we can start. I'm sorry because you're going to be totally out with this, but there was qualifying today. And I actually happened to catch it and watch it, and it was pretty cool. Now, for anybody who doesn't know how the Indy 500 qualifying goes, and either you guys want to describe how it works, because it's not like a simple lap time like any other type of qualifying.
All right, let's hear it.
Sell it. 4 laps. It's 4 laps, okay? It's 4 laps, and your car is on edge. You're making left-hand turns, no downforce. Basically, how big are your balls? And it's how fast can you run these 4 laps all together. So
Right.
You got these guys going out there, and they're winding up on their out lap, and they're trying to keep that momentum going for 4 laps. Like, these cars are super on edge, so the tires are degrading.
All right, wait a sec. Got a question already. I'm going to play Joe the Dope here, even if I maybe know the answer. But so there are other cars qualifying at the same time, or is it like iRacing, one at a time out there?
One at a time.
Okay.
One
that
at a time,
obviously-
and you can run on the Saturday portion. You can run as many times as you want until the 550 gun goes off. Your fastest run sticks.
So they take the fastest time for the 4 laps, or is it an average, or?
It's the fastest time, but they add all 4 laps together.
Gotcha.
And it's your average speed across 4 laps.
Right, and that's the one thing I noticed. They do it by speed, at
Yeah.
least when they're advertising,
So that's
and
like-
not by lap time.
That's like top speed runs.
Yeah.
When they do top speed runs for manufacturers, same deal. They do usually 4 runs, I believe, something like that. Into the wind, not into the wind, and vice versa. And then take the 4 of them and.
Yeah, there's
Anyway.
a little bit of similarity, except they're looking for absolute top end. What they do in IndyCar is they take the 4 laps and take the absolute average speed of all 4 laps. It's pretty cool. I like it because you have to be consistent, which is something you don't necessarily have to do in other forms of motorsport when it comes to qualifying. You just have to be, the 1 lap hero, and you can qualify well. Whereas the Indy 500, you got to be consistent over 4 entire laps. And like Kieran said, you just basically have to have big balls and just hold it, pin it down for 4 laps.
So how rigorous though are they on keeping all the cars the same though, aerodynamic wise? I mean, in Formula One just recently they were all bent out of shape because a rear spoiler bent 1/4 of an inch more than it should. So in IndyCar, when it comes to something like that, where ultimate top speed is everything, how do they
You're allowed to. That's the joy of it. You're allowed to trim out the car, so you can put the wing back all the way down as low as you want. But if you do, you're gonna fucking crash, and that's bad.
Yeah.
But you're not regulated to keep it at a certain angle.
They used to be, but now I think they opened it up. They can run negative wing angle. They do at Indy.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you've seen the wings, they're not really much of a.
So
of a wing.
No, they're not.
So there's a lot more mechanical grip at play than pure aero like in Formula One. It's totally
Yes.
And they got the benefit of ground effect too, especially with the new IR18 car, right? A lot more tunnels under the car that actually provide downforce.
Oh, so that's probably aiding to having closer racing, like you guys are always talking about. Where in Formula One, it's more like a parade where you got to gap the guy, although you get dirty air and everything, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They still have that. They still get the dirty air though. They're trying to take the arrow off the top of the car though, so that they can have better racing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I've always said, the reason they haven't had ground effects in Formula One for so long is because they're afraid of an arms race where teams are just spending insane amounts of money to develop their under trays or whatever to have ground effect. And I understand that, but I've always thought, like, well, what if you just kind of mandate one version of ground effect, and then you get rid of a lot of the top of the car downforce, and then we would have some awesome racing. You know what I mean?
Right.
You mandate
That would
you
make
use
more
certain.
sense.
What's this?
I said that would make too much sense.
Right, exactly. Why would they do that? Instead, in 2017, they made rocket ships that had insane amount of downforce and were the fastest F1 cars ever, but they can't follow each other in race. Mostly.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna put a spending cap on F1, I mean, do whatever you want, but here's your spending cap.
So is there a cap on the Indy cars? There is, right?
Not to
I
my
don't know
knowledge.
if they actually have a cap.
Huh.
Yeah, Roger Penske.
The budget cap is they don't have anybody that watches.
So they're limited. Where Formula One. Although you know what's funny about sponsors, I've still never understood how it's like really makes any sense. Think about the millions of dollars that these sponsors to get on a Haas car that's going to finish last every race, and they somehow get a sponsor the next season. It's beyond me. I don't understand that. Like, by Pepsi, we finish last every race.
Because you can bring 200 people to Monte Carlo to schmooze them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Most popular form of motorsport in the world.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. So this is all about winning me over because I feel like Alex's closet. He likes Indy. He just likes.
I like
anything.
IndyCar. I'm not a fanatic like these guys. I will turn it on and I will enjoy. Mostly, the road course races are cool, and I kind of like the 1.5 mile ovals. Those really impress me just because it's on the super high banks, and you watch those cars. You watch races at those tracks that NASCAR will do. And it looks like fast forward when the Indy cars go there. It's insane. Now, yeah, they go to Indianapolis as well. But, I don't know, it seems a little bit more impressive when you compare it to NASCAR at the 1.5 miles for whatever reason. But, I mean, they're doing 240 in Indy, which is insanity. I think I was watching qualifying, and I saw 239 for a few of the guys.
Yeah.
Absolute insanity.
Well, the track record's 237 for a lap.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so you were talking
Taking
245, 249.
Oh my goodness. What years were those happening?
The 90s, mid 90s, I think.
96.
Okay.
94, I thought, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. It was Ari Leyendijk. I don't remember what year it was.
Okay. And just to give a reference, today's pole sitter got the pole at 232. So,
Yeah, I think it was
237.
actually 231.
Oh, 231.
231,
Okay.
235, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so to think that they could... That's average. It's average speed of 231. So to think that back in the 90s, they had cars that did an average speed of 237. They probably never got below... Well, I don't know, because I would imagine the 90s cars probably didn't have as much grip as today's cars. So maybe they were dipping down below 230, but maybe they just shot and rocketed down the straightaways.
Oh yeah, they had
Definitely more power.
Right.
Big engines. Oh yeah.
So let's talk about that. What's changed in the motors with, has it been the same as Formula One where it's just considerably gone from bigger displacement, more cylinders down to, is it a 6-cylinder now in Indy cars?
It is.
No,
Well, it's pretty much.
It's a turbo. It's a turbo V6. Yeah.
But they're limited. I mean, they're limited on displacement. They're supposed to be going back to a 1,000 horsepower car, I think, next year or the year after with the new
It
engine
was
formula.
supposed to be next year, and now it's 23, pretty sure. They're aiming for 900, and I think the idea is to get to 1,000 eventually, but the first step is 900, which is cool because they're currently pushing out 750 at the most, correct?
Right.
And these are not hybrid,
Yes.
though. They're not hybrid, right?
They're gonna be.
They're gonna be. I think.
They're working on it.
Right. I think
Yeah.
the move to 900 horsepower involves a hybrid system.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, is IndyCar kind of just like the United States version of Formula One, really?
Well, it's the top. It's the top open wheel series in America.
Right.
So yeah, regionally, yes, it's the top.
Like if you were, if we were all like say 5 years old right now and we're aspiring to be race car drivers, we would aspire to be IndyCar drivers. If you're born and raised.
Formula One.
Well, yeah, but how many Formula One drivers are from the U.S.?
It's very rare.
Yeah,
Scott Speed's the last one I know of. No, I'm sorry. Alexander Rossi. Yes, Alexander Rossi did a few races for Marussia because didn't somebody get hurt or somebody?
He's always been a Friday driver. He was a Friday driver for a long time, and it got to the point where he was only supposed to run like 5 races the year he won the Indy 500.
You know what was he the guy who took over when Jules Bianchi had his accident? I think that's the story.
I think so.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. Yep. That is an unfortunate story, but
it's a sad deal.
It is a sad deal.
Let's say this. Let's talk about Can we talk about the qualifying scenario that happened today? Because that's something that would not so much the format, but what happened today would never happen in any other form of motor racing.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Rick. You can lead the charge on that.
Yeah,
one.
This is your show. So.
Just describe that. Describe today. How did it go down?
Watching qualifying, which this happens somewhat all the time in Indy now that they have enough cars, but you have bump day, so not all the cars make it like in every other form of racing. So today you had Team Penske, you had Will Power, who was the 2018 Indy 500 champion. Team Penske has the most wins, 18 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and they had a car today that had to run to even make the show. There was 5 cars, 3 spots, and they had to make the show. What other form of motorsport would you ever see something like that?
Right, where the top team basically is struggling to even make this show. Correct. Yeah.
Against a team, they had a couple teams there that are one-offs.
Right.
And you've got Team Penske sitting there trying to make it, and Will Power hits the wall coming out of turn 2 on his 4th lap and keeps it nailed.
No.
And still makes it.
Oh, wait, what do you mean? He crossed the... Wait a sec. He crossed the line on the wall? Sorry.
No. So I only watched the top 9. That's what I watched today. I didn't watch earlier stuff. I didn't know he actually scraped the wall.
That's because you didn't do your bump day homework.
I know. I'm sorry.
I didn't know this homework even existed, so...
So he hit the turn 2 wall, but not enough to beat up the car? He still kept it going?
No, he kept it going. Didn't even take his foot out of it.
All right, so when you're not qualifying in the top 9, does the 4-lap thing still apply or no? Now it's the single laps, go out when you can?
No, it's still fast.
No, still 4.
Still fast as 4. Oh, so everybody does that. Okay.
Yep.
And you only get 1 run. It used to be you could gamble and run more than 1 run to try and win the pole, but now it's just 1.
Gotcha.
So what's the purpose of having qualifying so far before the race, unlike Formula One?
Well,
race?
the thing with IndyCar, it's the whole month of May is devoted to the Indianapolis Speedway. It's so there's practice. How many practices are there for the Indy 500? Do you think? How many sessions?
If you cut it down between Carb Day, Tuesday. They had 4 days last week and a 2-day test session at the end of April. So collectively about 6 to 8 days.
Right. So there's 6 days of practice for this one race. I think that's why.
Full day.
Right. And so, it's a super popular race. I mean, you watch that race and it is loaded every single time. Every single seat has an ass that sits in it. So I didn't. You're not seeing it now because I think they do have COVID rules in place, don't they? It's so much capacity. Yeah. But I'm sure even the qualifying days probably fit up, probably are super popular and attract an audience as well, right?
They're getting better.
They're getting better, okay.
Yes.
In the 90s, they were crazy.
Okay.
The Snake Pit.
The Snake Pit.
Yeah.
The Snake Pit.
I gotta go, I don't think it's going to happen this year for me to experience Indianapolis, and I'd kind of rather not because I'd like to experience it when there is no COVID going on at all. But the Snake Pit is something What's that?
The way God intended.
Yeah, God intended. That's right. Yeah, I got to check out the Snake Pit when I do go. That's something I've heard about.
It's a rave now.
All right. So, Kieran, you've been multiple times. Describe to us what the Snake Pit is all about /rave.
So in the past, the Snake Pit, it was historically known for being it was this area, and I believe turn 3. It's part of the infield, and people would show up there. They'd get there and they'd wait at the gate, 3 in the morning until they cracked it open at like 6 or so, or whatever, and it'd be just a mad dash, and all kinds of crazy debauchery and just shit would happen in the Snake Pit. You'd have porta shitters getting lit on fire. You'd have people getting hammered. They'd be throwing kegs over the fence. Like, you name it, it happened there. Like, there was all kinds of just nonsense. Nowadays, they set up in around, I think it's turn 3 or so, and I think they had they have raves out there. They had Dead Mouse a couple years ago.
Oh shit.
And they go Steve Aoki. I mean, it goes on all race long. You can hear the bass over the cars, and they've got pyrotechnics and shit going on in the background.
Jesus.
There's a race going on.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds
It's worth it just for that.
Rad.
It does sound like a good time.
Sounds like Woodstock on steroids, but with a race going on, so it's better. Because I have no interest in,
Yep.
In
Woodstock.
debauchery? You don't want to
No,
light shit on
I
fire?
do, but hey, I need the cars in the background. Justify it at least, There's a race going on.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everyone's on Molly and shit.
Yeah.
Dude, the race. Do you see the dragons?
Someone's gonna run out of the track on fire. I'm on fire with no pants. Yeah, the dragons.
That does sound like something I'd like to go see. Besides the race.
I'm open
camping's
to
amazing,
experiencing
too.
a new form. Of
What's this, Rick?
The camping is amazing too.
Is
You
it?
got like 100,000 people camping there.
Oh wow.
Jesus.
Oh, that's well, because all right. So Rick,
yeah.
you went in 2016 most recently.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a really
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys went up in an RV, right? So you got the camping experience.
Yeah, we took the camper out with Rich and my grandfather.
Yep.
So that was pretty fun. My grandfather's been a bunch of times, so it
Yeah.
was pretty fun to bring him.
Is this expensive to go to for tickets or?
I don't think so.
Not really. I bet they're less than your F1 tickets.
They are absolutely.
Probably. Yeah. My tickets for turn 4, I think they're priced at about $110 a seat.
110. Yeah, that's wicked reasonable. Is that a day or is that for the weekend?
That's for race day.
That's for race day. So what's a
And
whole
then-
weekend? Do you think?
You could probably comfortably do it for like $1,000.
$1,000 for the weekend?
I would take 1,000, but that's just me.
I think he's talking about
Well,
including
you're
everything.
gonna camp and like food and all of that stuff, but like the tickets to like carb day are like $20.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
cheap. Like that part of it, like getting into the racetrack to go do race car things, like that's cheap.
Gotcha.
It's
What-
super.
And you can bring in your own beer.
Perfect.
Bringing in an ice chest. Done that once or twice.
Yeah.
Well, what other racing are you gonna see days in advance? Maybe practice. That's it. Right?
Indy Lights, right?
Indy
Indy
Lights.
Lights.
Well, they don't do that race anymore. I found out.
What?
Yeah,
They didn't do it last year.
and they aren't doing it this year either. It's just going to be a 2-hour practice session on carb day, and that's it.
What are the Indy Lights? Is
Oh,
that like
they're not doing
JV?
the Freedom? No shit.
Yeah, but they are. So the other races that you can get while you go out there, they're all local. Like they have sprint car races at Kokomo on Sunday. They've got asphalt races at Lucas Oil Speedway on Friday. The Little 500 is at Anderson Speedway on Saturday night.
That's awesome.
The night before the 500. There's some micro races and whatnot in the area as well. And then the week after, if you stick around for it, it used to be Indiana Midget Week.
Ooh.
That is fun. I pissed off my boss when I went back east to go work on a race car one year, and I basically got fired while I was gone. So I was like, okay, well, I don't have to go home, so I'm gonna go spend the week. I'm gonna go spend the week working on a midget. I went to Indiana Midget Week, and I got to work on one of my buddy's cars, one of my best friends. It was pretty legendary. It was one of the best weeks of my life. I wouldn't do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, nice.
Oh man. Damn it! I want to go to
The
the.
Little 500.
Yeah, they're
What's
races
this?
are strong in the Midwest.
What about the little 500, Rick?
Have you ever been to the Little 500?
Not us, Kieran. I'm assuming you've been.
No. year.
No,
Yeah.
I haven't.
No,
actually.
that's really cool. So that's 33 sprint cars on a quarter-mile track for 500 laps with green flag pit stop.
Oh my God.
It's incredible.
500 laps.
Yeah. 500 laps.
Dirt or
An
asphalt?
asphalt sprint car.
Holy shit.
Asphalt.
Wow. How many pits? How many times they stop him?
The most impressive thing about that race is watching the flagman. The flagman controls that race, and it's unbelievable to watch how skilled that guy is. Like, he is literally directing traffic for, like, I don't know, the thing it took like 2 hours.
You must be never stopping. It's got to be like blue flag here, black flag here, yellow flag here, and it's got to be insanity.
There's no blue flags. He's just, like, pulling people over and, like, directed them. It's just like, go.
Quarter-mile track, right?
Yeah, it might be a third. It's not much bigger. I can't remember exactly how big it is, but it's a short
Dude,
track.
even so, like a third I can imagine because that's Seekonk Speedway, which I've been to. It would still be insane if it was that big.
It's awesome. It was awesome.
That's incredible. Wow.
It's Mike Camaro out there. He's the one that's actually throwing all the flags.
I don't think they would let Mike flag. I think Mike would have to jump out of the box and go punch somebody in the face eventually. Listen to me! He'll go out. He'll have to bring his special flag if he ever did officiating for that.
So you think Indianapolis 500? If you've never seen an Indy race, that would be the one to go to first?
Yes, that's how I did it when I was 13 or 12 years old, and I wouldn't change a thing.
So what other tracks have you been to? Watching?
I've been to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I went with Alex.
Yes, 2011.
So I didn't even know you've been.
That was a weird friggin' race.
It was
weird.
They tried to restart it in the rain, and Will Power flipped off the scoring tower. It was pretty
Dude,
awesome.
all right, real quick. My favorite story about that race is that moment because I saw Will Power do it with my own eyeballs. I didn't watch it in a highlight later. I was watching him like walk away and like yell at somebody and then look up like kind of in our direction, but I'm sure he's looking up at the booth or whatever. And then he just does this thing. And I was like, that's going to be on the highlights, and I saw it.
It was pretty great.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two, I've been to Sonoma, I've been to Laguna Seca, I've been to California Speedway.
How about Watkins Glen?
Miami, I've been to Daytona. I haven't been to Watkins Glen. But it's on the list.
Sick.
And
I feel like we're on MTV Cribs right now.
Yeah, taking a tour of the house.
yeah.
So
The pizza, it's been sitting at the door for like 5 minutes. But yeah, and then I can't even begin to list all the dirt tracks. I've been to a ton of dirt tracks.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah. Placerville Speedway, that's a really good one. And if you want to see like if you want to see the boys hang their fucking nuts out on dirt in a sprint car, go to Tulare Thunderbolt. That place is probably
What's it called? Tulare?
Track. It's the Tulare Thunderbolt. Yeah.
Tulare Thunderbolt. Okay,
Well,
never heard of that one.
Was this a location in Cars, the movie? Sounds like it.
What? It almost does.
You know, whatever that freaking car guy name was.
Yeah, in a way.
Thunderbolt.
I do want to get into Kieran's racing background because it's very interesting and very different from what we do here out in the Northeast. But before that, I feel like it's fair to go ahead and let you guys, and even we'll throw in our rookie guesstimates to see what you guys think are going to happen for the Indy 500 next Sunday. So Sunday.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think is going to happen? Well, we should mention the result for today's qualifying. It was Scott Dixon who got the pole, which was really exciting.
Big shock.
I mean,
He's the Lewis Hamilton of the sport, is he not?
Basically, he is at this point. Yeah, he has 6 championships. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He's got 6 championships.
6 championships, right? So and
he earned it all. He didn't just have the best car the whole time.
Right. You can say that. You can obviously say that. We don't really have that same pull in Formula One where there definitely is a best car over the entire season. But it was incredible seeing him get the pole today because he was the last one to go out. And it was crazy because when I was watching, like 4 guys go out and they do like 230 something average speeds. And then Renus VK and Ed Carpenter go out on Chevy motors. And then all of a sudden they're doing, a whole mile and a half an hour maybe or so, better averages. And I'm like, oh, So it seems like the Chevys are the ones that are going to be hooked up. And then Scott Dixon goes out last in his Honda. And, I mean, just gets it. It was a couple hundredths of a mile per hour, if I remember. But it was still super surprising. Really surprising, because I thought you'd have to have a Chevy to do anything after what the Ed Carpenter cars did.
Dixon,
which is awesome.
First lap. For sure.
Yeah, pretty much. The Chevy thing's pretty cool, though, because 90% of the Chevys were garbage. I mean, Team Penske's got 4 cars, the best team in IndyCar.
Yeah.
They have 4 cars, all Chevys, and they're nowhere to be seen. And you've got a small
the best
team.
one starts 17th.
I think,
Wow.
yeah, Scott McLaughlin.
Oh my God! So what's going on with them?
Best
What do you guys think is going on?
We have good race cars, not good qualifying cars.
Yep, they're
Interesting.
here to drink the milk. They're not worried about winning the pole.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, you can have that philosophy, I guess.
Last year too. I thought that last year too, and they were nowhere to be found in the race either. I think you guys finished 5th.
They've just been down on top speed. I mean, Roger Penske doesn't build slow cars, and they've been lost like the last 2 years, man. I don't get it.
Do you think it has anything to do with Penske now taking over the speedway and taking over the series and getting a little using resources elsewhere or getting distracted elsewhere?
No, man. That guy's a millionaire several times over, and he's got all the best people in all the right places. I don't think he's spread thin whatsoever.
Gotcha. Yeah, he owns a bunch of shit. I mean, there's Penske dealerships here in Rhode Island. Car
It's a
dealerships.
truck
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think all the
shit.
Inskip dealerships are owned by Penske.
Really?
Pretty
I
sure.
never noticed that.
Yeah, if you go inside an Inskip dealership, you'll see Penske racing shit all over the place.
No way.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, today's qualifying session was really exciting. It was awesome seeing Scott Dixon get it at the very end. Who's sitting up there in the top row with him?
Yeah, where's Roman? That's the only guy I care.
Not doing it.
Roman
Is
is
this
the ovals.
Curtis second, and Renus VK is third. So that's the front row.
Right. Oh, yeah, it was the young kid there in second. What'd you say his name was?
Colton Herta.
Right, he's been super... Didn't he win the first ever IndyCar race he attempted? Wasn't that... No?
I think it was
No,
his third race. I want to say it was his third race at Coda.
Right.
Youngest
Okay,
winner.
I knew it was early on. I thought it might have been the first
Yeah.
one. That kid is super impressive. Doesn't he have 4 wins in 2 years now? His rookie
Something
year?
like
I
that,
think
yeah.
so.
He won 2 races his rookie year. He won 1 race last year. I forget where. And then he won, obviously, St. Pete this year. Dominated.
Yeah.
Ran away with it.
What a hell of a prospect. That's pretty cool. And he's racing
Yeah,
for...
that's good.
Is he one of the Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan cars? Is that correct? No, what is he?
And
Andretti.
he drives for Michael Andretti.
Oh, okay. He's one of the Andretti cars. Okay, so he's basically already in what you would consider a top IndyCar team, correct? Is Andretti one of the top teams?
Yeah.
Okay.
Andretti's really good during the month of May, but they've struggled the last couple years to put a full season together.
They
Okay.
definitely have one of the most resources, though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Doesn't necessarily guarantee success. We see that in Formula One too, where you have teams like Ferrari last year that did dog shit, and then you have teams like Force India, which probably have half the budget and do great. So, not always the case that more money equals more speed, but usually
This
it
is true.
does. All right, so what do you guys think is going to happen next Sunday? How do you guys see it turning out? Do you think Penske comes back with their race car built cars, or?
I think
If you've ever watched Indy, you're going to know that nothing that you think is going to happen is going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that's fair. I look for Colton Herta to be up there towards the end. Takuma Sato, another one who's been really good in race trim.
Yep.
Graham Rahal, Fantino Ferrucci. All of the Ganassi cars are good. All of them, all 4 of them.
Well, yeah, they all made the top 9 for qualifying.
Yeah, like they just have great raw speed. I look for Tony Kanaan actually I think Tony Kanaan's got his best shot at winning the 500 since the last time he won it. And he's just been remarkable in practice. I think it's gonna be a really good year. They keep saying it's gonna be a track position race, which time will tell. But I think there's going to be a lot of movers and shakers in this thing at the end of it, and I just look for a good show. I expect Dixon to be up there for most of the race. Like I said, Dixon, Sato, probably Kanan. You're looking for the guys that can tune the car the best over 500 laps, or 200 laps, excuse me.
I gotcha. And they can do tuning to the cars while they're driving around with the different ARBs, right? The anti-roll bars and whatnot. They have control over which ones, front and rear, just one side?
Front and rear, they can change the stiffness, front and back of the car, and then they have a weight jacker device on the car.
Oh, yes.
What does weight jacker mean, by the way? What does that do as far as...
So it's a piston. It's a hydraulic piston that sits in the right rear corner of the car, and you can take positions away from it or add positions to it. And what it does is it adds cross weight to the car. So it'll like if you're tight, you can add cross weight to the you can take cross weight away to free the car up. You basically put more nose weight on it.
Right.
And they use that a lot. They use that a lot under green flag conditions because the fuel's in the back of the car. They're all it's carbon fiber monocoque. They don't really weigh much, so they're super sensitive to weight transfer. So as you're burning fuel off, the front of the car is getting heavier in relation to the rear of the car. So you have to dial the nose back out of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And no other motorsport uses that, right?
Maybe.
I don't know. My knowledge.
What's this?
NASCAR had the track bar. They used to be able to change the track bar. Yeah.
Oh, I vaguely remember something about that.
Braking. They couldn't figure out how to do the software right, and like these guys would go to adjust their track bar on their steering wheel, and it would just broke the track bar.
Huh.
Well, can they still dial wedge into the back with the weight jacker? Can they still stick the wrench down in the back and spin it?
I'm sure. Yeah, they probably still do that.
I'm sure they can.
But
yeah,
they can't do it in car anymore.
Right.
Oh, all right.
Right. So as far as in-car adjustments go, they probably can only do like brake bias, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the prediction is there is no prediction because evidently the Indy 500 is unpredictable.
That sounds a lot like NASCAR.
Yeah, NASCAR's pretty unpredictable. Unlike Formula One, which especially today was extremely predictable.
I appreciate you, Rick. You haven't hammered on me for when I said I was simple-minded and I can't process everything that's going on in the Indy race. Formula One, it's like, duh, there goes my guy. He's still in 7th. For the last 2 hours, I can get up, take a shit, and I can come back, and nothing's changed. It's kind of nice, but kind of boring.
Actually, I mean, there was a little bit of stuff going on today with F1. Like, when's the last time the guy that won qualifying crashed and then didn't start the race? Like,
but wait, I wanted to ask you guys this, though. Hold on, because now I never grew up watching wrestling or anything like that, but I feel like Formula One, as far as motorsports goes, and what got me hooked was, I needed convincing. I didn't start watching it like 4 or 5 years ago because of him, and we went to Montreal to a race. But, I watched it live, but what the personality is what kind of gets you hooked, and then you fall for like a team and a driver and this and that. So with IndyCar, is it the same way? Do they hype up the way they do, like the way the NASCAR used to? So that's the reason why I don't watch NASCAR anymore, is because the drivers don't really, there's nothing really to them. They're just like names. So that's why I kind of gravitated from NASCAR to Formula One, was because there was a lot of personality and there's a lot of emotion. You get kind of hung up in it, and you end up, like, I laugh out loud to different situations, like when Bottas had his friggin' lug nut was all burned down and he can't get the wheel off. I'm laughing out loud because I'm like, you sorry sack of shit. You're and it's just the dumbest thing. But stuff like that, it just kind of, I don't know. So I think, getting back to IndyCar, I'm going to start watching again. I'm going to set my dial to record it. Because there's nothing else to watch.
We're all going to watch the 500 next week.
Well, of course, but I'm just saying, I got to start. There's nothing, like, I literally record nothing else on, like, I don't know why I pay for cable. I record Formula One, and that's it. And I pay, like, $200 a month in cable.
Oh, my God.
When I could just be getting $10 a month and,
you should do the F1 TV thing for $7.
And then I'm sure there's an app for IndyCar,
But yeah, you get IndyCar
subscription.
What is it?
You get you a Dirt Vision subscription.
Yeah,
Dirt Vision.
I'm just one of those, but this goes in line with it. I am just tough to transition and to get into a new interest, and that's why I guess I'm using the analogy of cable. I'm like the old timer, like, oh, you can't take my cable, I'm going to keep watching it, even though I'm not using it. It's a comfort thing. So I need to get away from that and just start downloading the stuff I watch, the content I need,
Yes. Yeah, I think
But this is what I used to love about Speed Vision back in the day. I feel like that pretty much I know it was heavy on NASCAR, but didn't it cover everything? 15 years ago, 20 years ago, remember that?
Speed Channel?
Speed Channel.
Yes.
Speed Channel.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, a long
I'd
time ago.
be happy with it. Like, look at the cast of characters in IndyCar. There's a cool bunch of guys
There
there,
is.
and it's kind of neat because in like F1, all the teammates seem to hate each other, and then you've got like 6 guys in IndyCar that will pool together. So the way I see it is like IndyCar is almost like the World Formula Group at the New Hampshire Car.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I can see that. I can absolutely see
They're
that.
all friends. They
Yep.
all help each other. We'll slit each other's throat on the track, but as soon as we're done, we're like best friends again.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
the way it is. You
You know what?
It's cool,
That's a
like-
great point because I listened to the official F1 podcast recently, and it was Roman Grosjean's episode, and he was talking about his comparisons with IndyCar and F1 now that he is in IndyCar, and one of the great things he said was like, in F1, you're not really friends with many of the drivers. You don't get to talk to them very often. You don't get to see them really until you're all up on track, and he was like, I go to the race at Barber or whatever race it was. And like all the drivers camp in their RVs overnight, so I did it with an RV overnight one weekend, and like all the 6-7 of them all just joined together. And like in F1, you can't get answers out of guys. You can't be like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? But he said like, what was it? It was a great little quip of knowledge that other IndyCar drivers gave him, and it was really interesting.
So he was basically saying he never would have got that information. In
Right, and so he asked these IndyCar dudes, like, what are you guys doing here? Or like he was saying, like, I do this, and they were like, no, don't do that. You're supposed to do this. And he's like, you would never get that in F1. Ever. You would never get feedback from your competitors about how to actually go faster. So,
Yeah,
Right.
F1's cutthroat, man.
it is.
I don't know. NHKA, the 2 weeks now that I've been up there, I feel like I ask people, the fastest line, they're like, don't lift, just send it.
I mean, it's kind of true.
Yeah, Kanan, it kind of is.
Well, don't, like,
I mean,
people will give you, like, bullshit. They'll be like, yeah, don't lift, send it, and might be joking around with you. But for the most part.
I kind of added that for color.
Sounds like a damn it Dave response. Like, yeah, you just don't live.
Actually, I think he did say that, but
I actually had to laugh on your last podcast. You were wondering what gear I was running for Kanan. If you walk over and ask me, I will tell you what gear I'm running.
yeah. Well, I was pretty open and honest that I'm so new. I'm not really going to be playing with much of anything at this point.
Well, you're lucky because you're renting a cart from a team every weekend.
Right.
And you can just tell them, hey, I don't feel like I
Yeah,
have
that is
acceleration.
funny, right? Like, so I'm renting, and it's like I could very easily just be like, yeah, let's switch the gears, and I don't even have to do anything. But yet, I have no interest in doing it because I just feel like the cart continually keeps getting faster. So why change anything until I?
All right, yeah, you're right in
get to a
that
point
respect.
where-
If you can keep getting faster with your driving, I understand
Right.
where you're not going to do setup changes.
Exactly.
But
That's how I run it.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's how you should run it. You should get to the point. What are you saying?
I was saying between Red Bluff and Cycleland, the only change I made on my car was the gear.
Nice.
I didn't make any handling changes to it. I unloaded it and I raced it.
Yep.
So, sorry. So, Rick, were you geared a little bit more for top end or for acceleration? Would you say?
Top end.
Really?
end.
Ooh. Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
What was that
Yeah,
gear ratio, if you don't mind telling 60 people?
Yeah.
all at
No.
once
Don't
that-
even give it away. You gotta keep some secrets.
Barely on the rev limiter. Let's put it that
Really?
way.
Wow.
No shit. And I'm guessing Archambault was doing the same thing because you guys would just
Same
tie,
times.
He was 1 tooth different, I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I don't even know what gear ratio I had. I feel like an idiot. All I know is that thing was freaking fast through the turns, and halfway down each straight, 3 times I'd be on the limiter for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wasn't really, I wasn't up at the front to really gauge it, how much the difference was,
Right.
So, but that's good to know.
Hmm.
How did we get talking about karting from?
Well, I mean, we pretty much expended all the IndyCar stuff.
Yeah, I
we
guess we
made
did.
our non-predictions basically, and
No, I know we were
You know what,
talking
I-
about talent and just the personalities.
yeah.
That's how we-
One other thing about IndyCar.
Okay.
Let's
Yep.
talk about this. 5 races into the season, right? How many different winners do we have? 5.
Yep.
3 of them first-time winners.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No wins from Team Penske. I mean, the parity in IndyCar, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. I didn't realize there were no wins from Penske yet. That's really nuts.
So who's making the
all looking
engines
good
for
next weekend.
IndyCar? How many engine builders do you have?
2.
Just 2?
Chevy Honda.
Chevy Honda, yep.
They used to have Lotus, which was built by Judd, and that thing was a boat anchor, for lack of a better term.
Interesting.
Yeah, but the best was back in the 90s when they had like Buicks and they had Chevys, they had Fords, Mercedes. I mean, they had everything, and it was cool. Like the Buicks were always super fast, but they'd blow up in like 3 laps.
Well, yeah.
That was fun.
Who's the
John
big
Menard
Ford?
cars? Yeah.
The John Menard cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised Ford's not in it in IndyCar as a manufacturer.
Ford's not really doing much of engine supplying in anything these days.
No, you're right.
No.
They even backed out of GT.
That's all built by Roush.
Oh, that's right. Well, Roush, I got his autograph up there. You can't see it. Pretty cool. Actually, I got him. Actually, look out so you can see it over there. I think it's like the whole team. What is that, actually? Can you see that from here?
Yeah, it's the NASCAR team
Yeah, it's a Jack Roush NASCAR. I got like the
from
whole...
forever ago.
Yeah, from forever ago.
That was really awesome how you like went off mic so that nobody else could really hear what you were saying.
Well, I'm trying to look around. You know, but...
This episode of the Formula Hooligan podcast is brought to you by Newport Propane.
Wait. Now, Alex, does anyone even use propane anymore?
Do you live under a rock, Charles?
Well, I know you can grill with it.
Uh-huh.
But can you cook on the stove with it?
Yes.
Heat the house with it?
Of course.
Warm up the pool?
Mhm.
Fuel my flamethrower so I can melt snow with it?
All right, slow down, Charles.
Well, what about when the lights go
A
out?
propane generator will do you right.
Okay. So who would I talk to if I want propane in my house?
Newport Propane, of course. They've been family owned and operated for over 60 years now, so I'd say they know a thing or two about propane installation and delivery. Not to mention, they'll come out and give you a free estimate on any propane systems you're thinking about adding to your home.
Sounds good to me. How do I get in touch with them?
You can call them at 401-847-6878 or visit them online at newportpropane.com. That's 401-847-6878 or newportpropane.com. Newport Propane, proudly serving the Rhode Island area for over 60 years. You know what I would really like to get into is kind of Kieran's story, because Kieran does a very different version of kart racing that we do here in the NHKA. We do the sprint kart racing over natural terrain road courses and such like that. Kieran does something very different, very outlandish in comparison just with how much power you guys deal with. But you do sprint outlaw karts, which is basically... Is that correct? Is that what you would call it? A sprint outlaw kart?
It's an outlaw cart.
Outlaw kart.
It's just an outlaw cart.
Right. So
And,
it's basically like a sprint.
The left-hand turns.
What's this now?
I said we make the left-hand turns.
You make the left-hand turns, right? You do dirt ovals,
Yeah.
but it's basically a
Yeah.
go-kart that looks like a sprint car because you got the giant wing that goes over you. And you guys, so for comparison, like what I drive now, I drive a 2-stroke 125cc motor that puts out about 28 to 30 horsepower, give or take who you're talking to, really.
Yeah.
What do you guys put out for power?
So yeah, basically it's like you said, it's a little tiny sprint car more or less.
Yep.
My engine before it blew up last night was it's a 1998 Honda CR500 2-stroke engine, and 500 cc's of displacement. Mine's got a 4 mil stroke on it, and I would say it puts out probably about 70 pounds or 70 to 75 horsepower to the rear wheels.
Yeah. Wow.
And the car with me in it weighs 500 pounds, I think.
So you're only a couple hundred pounds, not even 150.
Yeah,
more than
150
us?
pounds. Yeah, heavier than
Yeah,
what we're dealing
150,
with, but still 70-something horsepower to the wheels. Like when I said 20 to 30 horsepower, I meant
Not
at
to
the
us,
motor.
Right.
I didn't say the wheels.
Yeah.
So we're probably making 20 horsepower at the wheels with the 125s. You guys are doing 70 to 75 with 500cc 2-strokes. And I've seen multiple videos that you've shown to me, obviously, and it is insane. And the tracks you guys race on, they can look like, is it Red Bluff is the outdoor track that you race at?
No, Red Bluff's the indoor track.
Red Bluff's
Bull
indoor.
Ring.
Okay,
Yeah.
those indoor tracks look like paper clips. You guys like slow way the hell down. I mean, not slow, but you guys go through those corners, and then when you come out of turn 2 or turn 4, it's like, zoom, and then you slow right back down. It's insane
Oh, yeah,
to watch those videos.
We're running We run 9-second laps at Red Bluff.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So what does a wreck look like in your world? It sounds like it's
Usually,
awful.
isn't it sky,
It
dirt,
looks like
sky,
an airplane
dirt?
crash. Yeah.
Are you buckled in
Sky
this thing or no?
dirt,
Is it like a cart, like
yeah,
a lay down?
so you can. There's a lot of guys. There's some guys that have full containment seats, but I basically have a full seat that bolts into my car, and I have to run. I wear a 5-point harness with a Hans device.
Yeah, you gotta. I would think.
Yeah. I haven't had one of those sky dirt accidents yet, but I've flopped over on my side a couple times, and it's definitely pretty weird.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still would rather go sky dirt in a 5-point harness than in a cart with
Yeah,
nothing.
because in a cart, it might be you.
Well, no, it's
tumbling.
just you just flapping around,
Yeah.
and then the cart hits you like a snowmobile accident, basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you
it's-
guys are more or less in a cage in your outlaw carts.
Yep. I'm in my little safety bubble.
Now, you did a bunch of wrenching and mechanic work before you decided to buy your own and do driving. How long did you do the mechanic stuff
Yes.
before driving?
I was a mechanic. I was mostly a mechanic for about 8 years, the better part of 8 years.
Okay.
And I went into it knowing absolutely nothing.
Yep.
I went in. I got a job with QRC, and they're a big manufacturer in the sport, the biggest. And they took a chance on some kid from Sacramento who hung around at CycleLand enough times. And it was supposed to be a 2-week job, and it wound up turning into 2 years and working on their house cars. And eventually, working there didn't pan out anymore, but I stuck around in the pits. And I worked with some really great people, got to do some really cool stuff. I got to win some really big races. It's been a trip, dude.
I'm sure.
How'd you guys meet again?
We met, oddly enough, at CCRI, and I still remember it to this day. It was, I'm such a f***ing dork, dude. I was at CCRI in the cafeteria between classes, showing somebody else iRacing on my laptop. That's how much of a dork I was. I was trying to get iRacing to run on my laptop to show other people.
So you're that
And
guy
then-
that literally has the laptop while he's taking a shit racing? with
No.
Okay.
This is...
You know, because
I'm
you see
still-
all those posts, and I'm always like, who is that guy really doing that?
No. I was in a public place with my clothes on, okay?
Well, no, hey, no judgment here.
Regardless, I think... I want to say we had a mutual friend because you came down the stairs with somebody that I knew, and I was like, hey, look at this iRacing thing. And then you were like, you have iRacing? Like, you actually knew what it was. And I'm like, wow, nobody knows what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of snowballed from there. I mean, you always... I think around the same time you moved to California, but it was enough of a connection initially to become friends. And then every time you come back for Christmas, we're always hanging out and doing shit.
Oh yeah.
Talking to you.
Yep.
We text each other a lot anyway, and so that's how we became friends, kind of over a sim racing interest. But then, obviously, we're both into real racing. I was doing the rental cart thing at the time. I don't even... What were you... I mean, we met in like 2011 or something. Were you doing any racing at the time?
No. I mean, but I thought I was hot shit. Like I bought a fire suit and thought I was a race car driver. Yeah. I came out to California and I got humbled right the fuck away.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wasn't doing any racing at the time. I always wanted to race, but I never had the money.
And then eventually you did get into it. So you did your... Oh, there is a few things we have to talk about within your 8-year career as just a mechanic. You came up with, I know of one very interesting modification that if, correct me if I'm wrong, you had a rule made because of your modification.
Yeah,
That's pretty
this
cool.
is my crowning achievement.
Yes. Please describe your crowning
It's like
achievement.
having a patent. I love it.
Yeah, no. So they don't do this race anymore. But a couple years ago, they had a race at Big Sky Cartway in Missoula, Montana, called the Wild West Shootout, right? And this place, if you like, it's shaped like Bristol.
Okay.
A huge banking for these little outlaw carts to race on, and this place would get like glass slick. So you're going around there like half throttle, just trying to get your tires to hook up, and it was super racy, always a fun trip. And I was working with this kid. His name's Jesse Caldwell. He ended up going down the road to become a power ride champion, and he got to do some cool stuff in race car. But beside the point, this kid and I, we had a great relationship. He'd come to the shop and ride my ass just to be a pain in the ass. And I was like, you know what, bring your car down here. But we brought his car down one night, and I said, I want to throw some stuff at this car. So when we go back to Montana, I want this thing to win. So I got this crazy harebrained idea to put a third wheel on the rear axle of this car.
That's right.
In the square in the middle between the other two, just to be able to put more of this horsepower to the ground.
It's awesome.
And yeah, we showed up at Cycling with it because I figured it'd be a good place to test it. And went and qualified. I want to say we were like 7th quick. I think we won our heat race, and then we finished 3rd in the main event with this third wheel and tire. And
Now, nobody said anything, and nobody disqualified you before the event?
Oh,
Obviously not, but you run. But yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah. They were talking before qualifying was over. Like, there were people in our pit right away. And, like, the guy that runs the Randy Van Kuren, he was the head official at the time. This like Randy and I have a great relationship now. We're great friends. But the first time Randy and I met each other, he said it was about that third wheel on the axle, and he was like, "You can't do that. It's against the rules." And I pulled out the rule book and I said, "Show me where." So the very next week we came back to the drivers' meeting, and the rule, they changed the lettering of the rule, because there's been guys in the past, they'll put skis on the left front. Just to,
wow.
Try it, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Tilly Bowl thing.
Yeah.
But they changed the wording of the rule. You must have a minimum and maximum of 4 wheels and tires in traditional locations. So
I got
he put my goofy rear axle to bed right away.
So you had to customize all that, right? I mean, to get that to work.
Yep.
Must have.
Not really. I had to take the axle out of the car, and I put a hub and a wheel down the middle of it.
So your hubs will go through an axle on both sides, because the way I picture our carts is the axle. Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the axle will eventually hit the end of the hub. It can't go through, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you just reamed out the edge of the hub, the end of the hub would be pretty quick and easy to machine one that went right over. I mean,
sure.
A lot of the oval carts, they just go right over and they'll go right onto the axle.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they go right onto the axle. We have 2 pinch screws that clamp it down. Because we do a lot with rear wheel spacing too. Like,
yep.
we'll move the left rear out to tighten the car up on exit, or move the right rear out to free it up on entry.
Sure. Yep.
So
yep.
we're always moving shit around, and the hubs go straight through. The tricky thing then was the keyways were offset on the axle, so I had to hang it on one side.
Oh.
And somehow I just squeeze it underneath the tail of the car. I'll show you guys a picture a little bit later.
Yeah, I wish we had an ability to show a quick video or a photo. That'd be cool. I actually have. I think you showed me.
Kieran sent it to me one time. I think just through a text. I don't think I ever saved it, but at the time I was showing people can you look what my buddy did? And it's wild. You see the 2 tires where they're supposed to go, and then there's just one in the middle.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you got it?
So, I don't know how well you can see it, but yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
There it
Holy
is.
shit.
That's it.
Cool.
So it looks like a front tire.
It was a front tire. I didn't have enough room to weasel a back tire in there because it would have rubbed on the tail cone.
Yep.
But basically, I had that thing set up with 2 inches of stagger that night, and because the front tires are smaller, so in order to get it to actually work, I had to put something like 35 pounds of air in that front tire.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I'm surprised that you didn't get hit up with the old "in the spirit of the rules" in the rule book.
Oh no,
because that's in every rule book.
Yeah, I definitely did. They were like, "It's not the spirit of the rules," and I said, "Well, it's not in the rule book either. So, what do you want from me here?"
That's fantastic. You got any more that you ever did, or was that basically your one crowning achievement?
That was my one. That was my one Smoky Unique achievement.
Sure,
I never really got too crazy after that. I tried to do some stuff with wickers and whatnot, but nothing was ever as prolific as the third tire on the rear axle.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I love that.
I had an idea to build a because we adjust our front ends, the left front. When I was talking about weight jackers earlier, there's a way when we have to adjust the ride height in our left front, we have a threaded kingpin So
Oh,
what I was gonna do,
okay.
I was gonna build like a knob ratchet device that would be sit outside the cockpit, and you could adjust your left front as you were driving to
Interesting.
make the car. Yeah.
Screw that.
I
Use
never-
your foot.
Yeah, I never pulled the trigger on that one.
Just a ratcheting handle on the top of the kingpin.
Yeah.
You could use your left foot.
Yeah, just kick it a couple times.
This reminds me of that what was it, a 6-wheeled Formula One car? Remember the front wheels?
Yeah, the
And
6-wheel
4?
Tyrrell.
Was it 4 on each
The
side?
T-Rail
Or 2 on each side.
P4.
Correct. Kieran's got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's actually, Rick, you were saying earlier before we started the podcast, you were thinking, well, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't even talk about that. Seeing
Never
as
fly.
it would, yeah, it
Show
would
up
never,
a six-wheeled car.
it would never
It
fly.
would never fly.
Yeah. I could see, like, you know, they can make the extended porch for tall people. You could probably use a bit of that extended porch to throw a few more, stub axles on there.
God, I'm pretty sure I could figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so for the last year or 2 years, Kieran, you've been a driver, correct? Is it 1 year or 2 years now?
No, since not even 1 year, dude. Since like July, August.
Okay.
I bought my first car.
Yep.
I picked up the motor in July, and I bought the car beginning of August, I think. It was right around the time Knoxville happened. The Knoxville Nationals.
Nice.
But,
And you've had some relative success, right? I've seen you run P3 and P2 in some heats. No wins yet, correct?
I won a heat race in Oregon. I've never won one in California.
Okay.
I was gonna win that one last night. My engine blew up. Heartbreak City. I know. But I mean, you were saying, I've been around the sport for like 7-8 years, strictly in mechanic capacity, and
Yeah.
in that time, I've seen a lot of people come and go in the sport, like people that just bought it to try it or try and get into it, and you can tell who the squids are and who's actually there who has potential, and I did not when I bought that car, I did not foresee myself being as quick as I was out of the box.
Yeah.
And neither did anybody else, because I hear it all the time, and it's honestly kind of irritating to the point, because I got into someone last night and she was like, "You're better than that." And I'm like, "I've been racing for 8 months. I'm lucky to be as good as I am." Like, yes, I am better than that, but cut me some slack here.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Rick, you have some circle track experience too, don't you?
Yeah,
Not in
I
a.
started karting.
What did you do?
That's how I started karting.
Right. Right. So
I used to run champ karts.
So what were champ carts exactly? What are they powered by, and are they
Pretty
offset?
much the same looking chassis as what he's running, except for they have much less horsepower. They had a flathead 5-horse super stock Briggs, which was
Okay.
fully modified 5-horse Briggs motors, which probably put out like maybe 20 horse. Maybe.
Oh wow, that's still pretty cool for a 4-stroke motor.
Yeah, they were pretty radical. I mean, there was a lot of work done to those engines, and my grandfather and I used to build our own engines, which was pretty cool because
Yeah.
I never had the money to buy them. So
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah. How much?
Yeah, it was a lot
How
of
much
fun.
would a base motor cost you, and then how much would it be to modify it to get to 20 horsepower?
I mean, so we're talking like early '90s. I mean, it was
Okay.
probably $1,500, $1,600 for a real good motor, which
Okay.
I was running like, here's a $300 engine, and you do it and make it work. So
Gotcha.
yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yep. And did you live in the Northeast doing that?
Yeah, I used to actually race at Sugar Hill Speedway in Londonderry, where Archie, our tech guy, he used to own that track.
Oh, no shit.
Huh.
Yeah, so funny backstory. Like, I used to race Ryan, who finished second, quite a bit.
Yep.
And he used to dominate me because, he had the resources, and don't get me wrong, he's really good. So last week's win over Flying Ryan Archambault was kind of a big deal because I've been racing against that kid since I was like 12.
Yep.
Nice.
That's cool. You guys
Yeah,
kind of
so-
come full circle into sprint cart, whatever you want to call it, racing. Right and left hand turns.
Yeah.
And we should mention, I mean, everybody probably knows it, like who is listening, but you did win the Hooligan Light class 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
You were the
Only
winner.
because you weren't racing, Alex.
Oh, stop it.
Sucking up on his own podcast.
I had my own day.
That was sarcasm.
No, you guys, I got to watch you guys do it. It is different now this year watching you guys race, seeing as I'm in a different class now. But it is fun. You guys had a fantastic, the two of you had a fantastic race for the lead. You guys swapped it a few times. How long were the final races? I don't even remember. How many laps?
I think it was 12 or 14 laps. I can't remember.
Not enough.
Yeah, they are short races, but
Yeah, real quick,
when you're leading, like
that's true.
The next lap is the last lap for
Yeah.
it to be good.
Yeah, exactly.
So wait, run through the that final race though. Because obviously me being out there, I didn't watch it. What was going on? Were you guys like, how close was it?
It was close. I think I got him. So I started third because I screwed up on gearing in the pre-final. I ended up dropping like 3 teeth. You wanted to ask me about top end. I didn't even come close to the rev limiter in the pre-final.
Oh shit!
And I brought it back a little bit after finishing third in the pre-final, and then in the final, I think I got him on like the 3rd lap, and he literally sat maybe a 10th off my bumper for the whole rest of the race.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it, dude. You guys had come by, just nose to tail every single lap. It was intense. It was real intense to watch.
We got the checkers, and I looked back, and I was like, yep, he's right there. And then I looked back again, and there was nobody else there. I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. I'm very, very guilty of that look back thing. I mentioned it in the last episode. I actually smacked the wall and got away with it. I did have a bit of vibration the rest of the race, but it was funny. I hit the red and white plastic barrier. When I came back in and was assessing it, a chunk of that plastic barrier came off and was in the bead of the rim. Somehow that tire held air.
It was stuck in there like a shiv.
Yeah, I somehow made it. And then I took that little plastic piece out, and I reinflated the tire and checked for holes, and no leaks. I got away with murder with that one. It was really nuts.
That was a little payback karma from OBRP last year for you.
Yeah, exactly. I get screwed with a malfunction that doesn't happen to anybody.
Oh yeah.
So I get away with murder.
Dude, I've never heard of it.
Kieran, have you ever heard of a valve stem core backing itself out and popping out of a tire?
Yes, because it happened on a car I was working on.
No way! You're the only person. The only person.
Yeah.
That I know that has heard of that.
Anything you've ever heard of happening to a race car, it's probably happened to one of mine.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's very rare, but yeah, it backed out. We were leading the feature, and then he pulls in with a flat right rear.
Sounds like my goddamn day.
Yeah. It's like, what the happened? I'm looking at the right rear, and it's like, oh, the cap's gone. Great.
No. What a heartbreak.
Poor you.
What are you gonna do? Racing, bro.
That is racing.
We should have brought all of Alex's trophies over to put them in the background so we can compare.
Oh, compared to Rick's collection?
Yeah.
Well, Rick's got some really tall ones back there. That doesn't look like NHK trophies.
Yeah, is that like gymnastics? What is that?
A lot of them are from Sugar Hill.
Yeah, you oval guys, you guys get the better trophies, I gotta say.
I judge a trophy by its weight.
Really cool.
What's this?
There's one back there that's really cool. It's got a couple names on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the World Formula Trophy. You've never seen the World Formula Trophy?
No. No.
Dude,
I said, I have 3
trophy.
I have 3 championships. I've never gotten a trophy for any of them.
You have 2. COVID years.
Stop! No, I have 3. I don't care if they said it didn't count. Everybody showed up that was supposed to show up and race every week, except for you, maybe.
What about me?
I know. Yeah. I was gonna win pretty handily against you in New York until I had my backing out. Was right. God, these guys are rough.
Yeah, as they should be.
How about the race before the one in New York when your engine wasn't right and I beat you by 8 seconds at Canaan?
Well, it wasn't right.
What was wrong with it? I don't remember that.
The valve. What was that?
The first thing I ever learned in racing is that you win more races right here than you do at the track.
Yeah. Yeah, it is true. Yep.
That's all part of it.
It is part of it, and it does, I'll be more educated this year doing the Rotax stuff as opposed to the World Formula stuff about how to work on a motor, because you can't touch a World Formula, really. And you usually never have to.
That's going to be tough.
What's this?
That's going to be tough. That's my problem with the shifter, is I don't know shit about that thing.
Yeah.
I didn't drive it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I had as good of a weekend as I did last time we went out, where I got third in a cart that was too tall for me, tires that are way too worn, in a motor that I never even started before that day.
Willpower, bro.
Yeah, it was a lot of willpower. Yes, it was.
Mind over matter.
It
Dude,
was.
you could drive anything.
What's that?
Facts.
You can drive anything. I've said it for as long as I've known you. If I worked on your car and you drove it, or if you drove my car, we'd never lose a race.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. You guys have more confidence in me than I do.
Yeah, this goes back. We were just talking. We were talking about how at like X1, those shitty rental carts, you kind of just walk away from everybody, and everyone's complaining this thing's shit, but then somehow you're just like.
To be fair, it took some time to get to that point. As much Kieran was talking about doing mechanic work for 8 years before getting in a cart. I basically did all the driving work for 5-6 years before I got my own cart and started getting into it. So I had to become a good driver racing beat-to-shit rental carts to be successful. I had to jump in the dogs and still finish in the top 3 and learn how to do it to be successful. So
it's a good skill.
In a way, I really learned how to drive early on, and I'm not the greatest
drive
mechanic.
Drive was shit, though. Not the other way around. So if you had all the money in the world and you start out with something really nice,
yep,
you're not going to learn as much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're missing out renting from DRT and not doing any wrenching, I'm telling you.
I'm not missing out on shit. I like my sleep.
Oh, come on.
You gotta buy a car, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, it's eventually right now.
Look at the shit behind us. You see this? That's a go-kart and a half right there. But no, let's just go sim racing.
I gotta keep entertained at night. We just went through 15 months of hell. Couldn't even go anywhere.
Yeah, I know. It is understandable that a lot of this is because of COVID boredom. But I mean, we did race last year too. I did offer you my car for an insane price as well.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, whatever. We've talked about it before. It's never going to go anywhere. Eventually, you should buy one. Hopefully
eventually. Yeah, I'm going to be alive for a lot longer, I hope so.
Racing gets a lot cheaper once you have your own piece.
Yes. Yeah, the initial investment is a steep one, but it is cheaper in the long run. Because, I mean, you're paying a good sum every week to do it.
So wait, I'll just give, since we got 2 extra guests on, I'll give it the old similarity here. Like, I bought a mountain bike recently, spent about $3,000 on it. I'm just continually fixing shit, buying new parts for it, not using as much as I thought. So I was worried buying a cart would be similar, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm renting first. Because you gotta figure out, you gotta gauge how much you're gonna do it. Are you gonna enjoy it? And you know what I mean? Is it gonna be something that's...
Well, you're enjoying the shit out of it, right?
Well, yeah, two sessions in, 1 race in. I mean, it's early. Got to see. And also, I mean, X1 was taken away. It's a whole bunch more. You guys are so used to, I don't know how you do it, going up to Canaan, like 3.5 hours from here. It's like, it's a crazy...
I think Kieran outdoes all of us with his travels for racing.
I didn't until I had to start working in Santa Cruz, but yeah, now it's like every Saturday. So Monday morning, 2 a.m., I hit the road to go back to work, and I work 6 days, usually 8 to 12 hours, and then Saturdays I have to leave Santa Cruz by like 1 o'clock, and I can make it in time to qualify at Cycling, just barely.
Wow.
And what time does qualifying start?
Cars on track at 4:30.
Jesus.
Maybe my problem is I have too many hobbies.
No, I think you're just too worrisome about the process.
I have to allot time for everything. That's the only problem.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you just consider your weekends like this is what
I do wish I bought you a cart, though.
Yes, you should wish so.
Yeah. Just to see, because I really am curious how that thing, like, if I would have just been like, this sucks. You know what I mean? Or would I have been...
No, I think you would have been having... Because, dude, like Rick was saying, we're actually so laid back in our class and we help each other out. You would have the most help from everybody, including me. I would still be doing my 2-stroke shit, and I would still be like, no. Charles, you're supposed to do this, that, the other thing. And anybody else would do the same for you, dude.
Yeah, I know. I have no doubt. I'm just saying I wish I got it just for the sheer fact I've got your suit that you originally wore, so why not take your cart?
Yeah, just follow the whole train.
Yeah, exactly. So eventually when you get into like Formula 1, I'll be F3 or something like that, you know? I'll be 50 or something, but whatever.
Speaking of Formula 1 and trains, should we even talk about that race?
I enjoyed it.
I did not.
What did you enjoy about it?
Serena Williams failing to figure out how to wave the checkered flag at the end.
That was
Did you see her holding it with two hands like... It looked like she was going to war. That's what it looked like. She was holding the American flag. Like,
I think they probably tell them to do the two-hand,
But she was holding the material of the flag wrapped.
Yeah, I understand.
I wanted to take that flag and hit her in the head.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Tell me how you really feel.
I'm a tennis fan, and I hated watching her because she dominated, and I just didn't like her. So.
Oh, I see. There's a bit of there's already bad blood.
Yeah, but how funny was it seeing her standing next to Max? She looked like a giant next to him. It was hilarious.
My favorite part of the broadcast was when they warned us that because it was Monaco, that we wouldn't experience a whole lot of passing.
This is motorsports, guys, but there's not going to be any passing. It's a parade.
I'm pretty sure we experienced 0 passing. There was passing on lap 1.
Perez went from like 9th.
Yes, but no on-track overtakes whatsoever, which I know everybody busts the race's balls about, like, oh, nobody can pass, there's never any passing. And even still, there will be like a ballsy one into Razkaz or one coming out of the tunnel that somebody will attempt.
This year, there was nothing.
Nothing. Literally nothing.
There was no yellow flag.
No yellow flags.
No incidents.
All the overtakes happened in the pit lane, which was pretty incredible for Vettel and Perez, who made up like 5 points or 5 positions. I think Perez started 9th, ended up 4th. Vettel, I'm not sure where he was, but ended up 5th.
Alex, this goes back to the difference, though, in Formula 1, at least my understanding. It's like you get so engaged in the personalities and everything that the actual racing becomes second. I was just so happy to see Lewis complaining about, how they f***ed up with the gap. They thought by going hard tires he would be able to catch back in front of Gasly and Vettel, and he didn't. And just hearing him complain and seeing Bottas' race fall to shit, I got enjoyment out of that. I mean, of course, I want to see good racing, but at the end of the day, I marvel at the ability on those courses, and they do the same in IndyCar. But tapping those walls, you know what I mean, where you see the tire just scraping it.
Yeah, the slow-mo shots coming out of the swimming pool section. They get really close to that wall, sometimes touch it. I forget.
They do. Yeah.
Somebody got away with it today, where they did just get just a little bit of the tire into the wall, and the wall flexes just enough to where there's no damage, and it's like, oh my god. So it is a spectacle to see that. But the race was about as cliche as you could make it today. Just no action. It was a big parade, except for when the pits came around.
My favorite part of it was when it was over.
I was actually about to say my second favorite part, other than Serena, was the Gulf livery.
Yes, the McLarens did look. But
once
very
again,
sexy.
guys, all of this, and I'm shooting myself in the foot here. None of it has to do with the racing. I'm realizing how funny it is. It's like I liked his outfit. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually who got the fastest lap point? Was it?
I don't even know.
I don't know either.
I was watching it live.
It was like Yuki, but it didn't count because he was 16th, and you have to be in the top 10.
Oh, maybe it was something like that.
It was.
No. I'm pretty sure it was Hamilton, because Hamilton was so far back from being able to get 60, came in and got the fastest lap, which, now Verstappen has taken the championship lead by 5 points. He has 105 points. Hamilton has 100.
And Red Bull has manufacturer points leading too now, right? They're leading on both fronts.
Don't know. I wouldn't be surprised because Valtteri has retired twice now this season.
Yeah, it's not sure.
While both Red Bulls have finished every race. So, yeah, could be. I think it's going to be a situation, though, where, Red Bull always specializes at Monaco, and they'll make it up in this race as they did, but then the rest of the year, I think it's going to be...
of course, it's going to be a parade behind Lewis, and nothing's going to change.
Hopefully
Lewis
not.
is going to talk about global warming and all these other things, and how he's going to leave racing, and it's... I don't know. Say what you will about him, but he could race with a blindfold. I feel like he'd win.
He is excellent. I would love to see, and people talk about this, I would love to see it a guy like him go into a different discipline because he's
Like
he's
IndyCar, imagine.
like IndyCar. Correct. I would love to
That
see
would
what
be
a Lewis
sick, yeah.
Hamilton would do in an IndyCar. Only because
It'd be dominant.
well, I don't know. Here's the thing, like he is probably the greatest Formula One driver there is, and you can debate about Schumacher and Senna, and you can go as far back.
Lewis doesn't make mistakes. Very rarely.
Very rarely, and I think he's done as well as he has in the Mercedes, and the one time in a McLaren in his rookie year. But I think we haven't seen him do any other disciplines his entire Formula One career. He's been Formula One, and that's it. You have Alonso, who will go and experiment with Le Mans, and even Nico Hülkenberg did it once and had good success with that. And now you see Roman has crossed over into IndyCar and is doing decent. You know, he got pole. And,
Wait, real quick, back. Why did he opt out of the 500?
All of ovals.
He doesn't want to race
oval.
Yeah.
Because of the accident risk and everything?
Yeah, it's just it's safer on road courses. They're not going as fast, and it's not as precarious.
Well, you guys
Same
saw
reason
the accident.
Johnson wouldn't run the ovals.
Yeah, I don't blame. I mean, you saw the accident he survived, where he literally, I don't want to say should, but he was pretty much dead. I mean, he was on fire for 30 seconds or more.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand that. He cheated death once.
I'll give you this. Like the F1, it's not good racing, but those are the best drivers in the world. Like those guys.
I'm surprised to hear
are
that
the
from you,
best
man.
drivers.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, there's a history of it. You look back in Indy, you look at like Nigel Mansell when he came over, he just dominated.
Right.
Romain,
Right, yeah.
second last week at the Indy GP. I mean, it's not like, I'm not saying that the IndyCar drivers aren't good. Like Scott Dixon is really good. But those F1 drivers are amazing. I mean, as boring as Monaco was today, those cars are amazing cars. They're the best technologically advanced cars in the world, and there was no cautions on a street course. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's impressive. It is impressive.
But it's boring.
Yeah.
Now, this is actually...
really boring.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, I do find myself doing multiple things while watching, you know.
This is a big topic.
Lewis Hamilton in an IndyCar. Love to see.
Yeah. And it's been a big topic recently in a lot of stuff that I listen to, podcasts or TV or whatever, where it gets brought up that we should have IndyCar guys testing F1 cars. And it just doesn't seem to happen. And IndyCar, this year especially, is touting their driver lineup as being one of the best ever. And yet, we still have no IndyCar guys that test Formula One cars.
It's gonna this year.
What's this?
Pato
Right.
is going to test the McLaren because he won at Texas.
Right,
Because
yes.
He won a race to get the test.
That is going to happen. You are correct. Yep.
He gets to run at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. When's the last... He's probably the first IndyCar guy to test an F1 car, and I don't know how long. I think as long as I've been watching F1, I don't know of anybody doing it. And I've been watching for 10 years.
It happens. It happens more often than you think. They just don't talk about it very much. Like Marco Andretti tested the Honda back in 2006.
Okay.
Tony Kanaan also tested the Honda, but I want to say that was a year sooner. It happens. It's just not highly publicized.
I got
Scott
you.
Dixon was a Williams test driver.
Yes, I did know about
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yep, Thomas Scheckter was a Jaguar race driver, as was Justin Wilson.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm trying to think of the more F1 rejects, but
Where did Scott Dixon come from, discipline-wise? Has he always been... Like, I saw he has a special on Netflix, I think. I saw some of it. Scott Dixon. Wasn't he the driver that had a special on there? Has he always been an IndyCar driver?
Yeah, well, he was racing Formula Ford in New Zealand, I think, is pretty much, like, where he came from, and then over here.
He got a ride, an Indy Lights ride with Pac West that turned into a kart ride, and then Pac West shuttered, and Dixon went to Ganassi, and as a rookie, his third race, he won on the oval in Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And then I think the very next year they went to IndyCar, and first race was at Homestead, Miami in 2003. He won that race too.
Oh my
won
goodness.
the championship. Yeah. So
Oh,
Dixon's
wow.
pretty much been goated ever since he got to IndyCar.
Right.
No shit.
Yeah, he won on Homestead when it was still flat.
Oh, yeah, I remember when Homestead was flat. Yeah. Wow, that's
He's
insane.
arguably one of the best IndyCar drivers ever.
Well,
No,
would you
hands
say
down.
arguably the best?
No.
Really?
No.
No way. All right.
You gotta go with it's AJ Foyt. I mean, it's AJ Foyt.
Yeah.
Interesting. Why is that?
Because of how many disciplines the guy's won in, front engine car, rear engine car. I mean, the career span, the wins.
Yep.
Yep. Have you guys ever heard the story of AJ Foyt he went to Milwaukee the week after Indy back in the 60s, and his IndyCar team didn't show up. So he was out there, he raced on Friday night with his USAC dirt car, and it was a front engine car, and all the Indy cars were rear engines, low to the ground, Lotuses and whatnot. And Foyt's IndyCar team didn't show up, so he's like, all right, I'm going to race the dirt car. So he put asphalt tires on the dirt car, qualified the open cockpit front engine dirt car on the pole.
Oh my goodness.
He led something like 100 some odd laps, and I think he finished like second.
Yeah.
My God.
He had to make a pit stop. He had to make pit stops. The rest of the guys didn't.
There's an awesome picture of that. Like, he's like wheeling around like this giant car that sits like twice as high as the Indy cars, like around the track. It's amazing.
Why was that even allowed to enter? I mean, it was the 60s. You're early on in motorsport, so I can see the rules being very loosey-goosey. But even that's still impressive.
Things were different back then. I mean, you look at, like, the other thing with Foyt that's impressive, his last win in the 500, he built the car. Like, he was the engine builder, car builder, like,
Really?
team owner, driver, like, you name it.
Yep. Coyote Enterprises, AJ Foyt Racing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow, that seems like a legacy that I want to research more, to be honest with you. That sounds like a hell of a guy.
You got
look up
his autobiography.
Autobiography.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Surprised there's
Cool
not
stuff.
any.
Like, watch the video of him when he gets out of his own car because it won't shift while he's driving, and like grabs a hammer and like starts smashing the linkage and pit lane and like race. I mean, it's amazing.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, it does sound like a hell of a guy. I know the name, and he owns the team now, and I've heard it a billion times. I really didn't know much about the guy. He sounds like a hell of a guy to read up on. I might have to get that autobiography.
That's my biggest upset for this week in qualifying in Indy. Is I was hoping those guys would be a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I thought with Sebastian Bourdais they were going to be up at the beginning. There it is.
Is that on the right there? Oh, that's killer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Holy shit. That's something. Now, Rick, you pointed this out for the last episode that we did, and it was we did miss this because I don't know, we weren't thinking IndyCar at the time. But Bobby Unser unfortunately did pass away, and I know very little about the guy. I only know basically some of the stories he told in his Dinner with Racers episodes that I've listened to. But maybe you guys can shed some light on more of who he was, because other than a few statistics here and there, I really don't know much about the guy.
Well, that's an Indy family for sure. That's
Right.
That team. They've got what? They've got 3, 6. How many wins do they have? 7, 8, 9 wins as a family?
9 wins. I think 2 of them have 4.
Wow.
And
No. Bobby's got 3. Al's got 4. I think Little Al has 2.
Yep.
I mean, that's an amazing family. Like,
Yeah.
they raced Pikes Peak. That's where they like started it, and then just came to IndyCar, and they've just been amazing. He's a character. He was the character. Some of his stories are hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I got that with the Dinner at Racers episode he was on, and even Robin Miller's episode on Dinner at Racers, he talked quite a bit about him, I think, and it all very entertaining stuff.
Did they talk about the turkey?
Yes, multiple times. Well, Robin Miller talked about the turkey episode. What is the turkey story? Because I've heard it a few times, but I can't put it all together at the moment.
So apparently, he would go to the grocery store and put a turkey in his cart while he was at the Indy 500 and walk around and find a beautiful woman and tell them that he was in the Indy 500 and he wanted to cook a turkey, but he didn't know how. So he would get the woman to come home with him to help him to cook the turkey.
Holy shit. That's one
Amongst
way, that's one
other
way to do it.
activities, I'm assuming.
Might be easier just to bring a dog with you, but I guess that's why not a turkey?
Yeah.
Hey man, shoot or shoot.
That's right. Yeah.
Shoot. I like that.
Who are we to judge? He did it right.
Oh, wow. That is.
Damn.
It's one way
Well,
to
you
do it,
guys
I
have
guess.
managed to take this entire podcast over and basically eliminated Formula One.
There wasn't really much Formula One to talk about.
Yeah,
today, to be
no,
honest with
there
you.
wasn't. Actually, the one thing we could probably touch on quickly is next week at New Hampshire.
Oh yes, we're going racing again. Out of New Hampshire Motor
Counterclockwise,
Speedway.
I assume.
I saw.
Isn't it always counterclockwise?
No. What is it, Rick? Are we going clockwise or counterclockwise? I think clockwise.
Well, we're going clockwise, but before we move on to that,
Okay.
one thing you guys should look at as not knowing much about the Indy 500 is go back and look in the 60s at how many Formula One drivers would come over and one off the Indy 500 to win it. Pretty amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Didn't they used to basically
used
bring
to
their own
actually-
cars as well, like Formula One-esque
Yeah.
cars?
They would
The
make
Lotus.
cars, yeah, Lotus, McLaren.
Yep.
Huh.
That's something you would never.
So wait,
see
it was
these days.
almost like Le Mans. Like you just had manufacturers bringing their car and running it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the cool, like the innovation of Indy was amazing. Like Smokey Unit with a sidecar Indy car.
Oh yeah, I've seen
For
pictures
the
of that.
Indy 500, I mean, they
Alright,
had
so-
the
Well, we're planning on
they
going
had
to
the
Austin.
STP.
Sorry, Rick. What?
They had like you've got like I don't even know what the frick it's called, the STP, the friggin', what's the
The
name of
turbine
the car?
car.
Thank you,
The turbine car,
thank
yeah.
you. You know, like, just amazing stuff at Indy. But
Yeah.
the innovation's gone now, because
It's all
spec
spec.
racing.
Yeah.
It's all wing angles and suspension.
Well, all right. So one of the things that IndyCar touts is the racing is so good, and I think one of the things that that attributes to that is because it is a spec series. Now, what do you guys like being a spec series? Because one of the things that attracts me to Formula One is the different cars. Even though they are getting closer and closer and closer to being spec, you do get the innovations every once in a while, and they are fascinating. What do you guys think about IndyCar even doing something like 2 tire manufacturers, or even just changing it up somewhat? What would you guys want to happen in IndyCar, or do you even want anything to happen?
I think I'm good with it where it's at. I like that's one of the things that drew me to outlaw karts is like I was sitting there on the grandstands and I never felt that way watching a race. It's the first time I went. I like watching races where the driver, it's the best driver wins. It's not just who you got on the wrenches or what you can do to your race car. Like I like seeing drivers put their heart into what they do, and whatever they get, they get.
Sure. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah.
I actually wish that IndyCar was completely spec the way it is for every race except for Indy.
Interesting. Okay.
That's fair. Yep.
Open up the rule book for Indy, let the F1 teams build a car, let
Yeah.
everyone do what they want. Non-points race, Indy's open.
Dude, you'd probably have like
Yes,
50 some entries for Indy 500 every year if that was the case.
Now keep the points
And you
open.
probably have manufacturers too, like different ones.
Yep.
The Indy 500, believe it or not, used to pay Formula One World Driving Championship points.
Yes, I think I did know that. Yep. That was back in the 60s, 70s era, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is funny because they won't run it now because it's too dangerous. But in the 60s and 70s, like, I hate to laugh, but you had people dying at Indy all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, I mean, people
I
were
don't know
dying
why
in
they won't
motorsport
run it.
across the board, basically.
Well, Formula One was, they said 1 in, was it how many? 1 in 10? 1 in 20? Every year? It was something like
Basically, like back in the 70s, every year 2 people were basically guaranteed to die.
that. Yeah.
Something like that. I'm sure it was worse in the 60s where there were no seat belts and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of those guys, even especially in the 60s and earlier on, they died because they would just fly out of the cart and careen into whatever scenery. Because there's no seat belts. They just swing.
Yeah.
If you ever watch that movie Grand Prix, that's what happens to the main character. Spoiler alert, sorry.
He gets yeeted out of the car. That's right.
Yep, gets yeeted out of the car. Oh, man. That's interesting. I mean, so you guys do like the spec thing because it does create the best racing. It really does. It creates wicked parity where nobody's. I mean, like you said, Penske this week for some reason isn't doing shit, and like you said, you wouldn't see that in other lines of motorsport. I mean, we almost saw it today with Mercedes and F1, but they were like, oh, they're running 5th instead of 1st. They're not running 17th instead of 1st. Yeah.
We should have mentioned though, because I didn't really know what happened. So Charles Leclerc got screwed over.
Yes.
Well, I guess he did it to himself.
He did it to himself.
He had a drive shaft issue.
Correct.
But it was from an accident, right? I guess the impact it up.
From qualifying. So basically, he made his qualifying lap, which got him on the pole, and then when he was coming back to the no, he's probably attempting another lap because he must have been balls to the wall trying to do something that would cause you to wreck. And going through the swimming pool area, he tapped that inside wall, but this time it didn't give enough, and it broke. I don't know if it broke the car at the time, but it knocked him offline, and then he smacked into the very next wall that was right in front of him, and red flagged the session. So the session was done because it was only like 30 seconds to go.
Oh, and that okay, so that explains why all the other teams were so pissed.
Yeah.
Because he gets pole, and then I guess then karma came back and bit him in the ass because. Look at what happened.
Oh yeah, there's definitely those people that were out there saying like he did it on purpose. That's what they do. They they sacrifice the session so that they can keep pole because it happens. You think about Nico Rosberg in 14 or 15.
Clearly they made the wrong decision because
it wasn't his decision. There's no way he did that on purpose. You don't.
No. I meant with the car. They could have chosen to. What was the deal? It was a 5-grid penalty.
That's true, yeah. They could have swapped the gearbox for a 5-place penalty and actually made the race instead of being like, nah, everything's fine. And then they go out.
They wanted to risk it because they wanted to be on pole.
Yeah, it didn't pay off.
No.
It didn't. I mean, you got to take risks in racing.
How do they not have a penalty if you cause a red flag to end the whole qualifying session?
Because every time it's done, it looks like an accident. It doesn't. Well, all right, it doesn't look. I don't know. It's debatable, but.
Still.
This is like, wait a sec, this reminds me of what we used to do in rental cars. We'd if we were losing, we'd park our car so we forced a red flag. Remember doing that?
No, did you do that?
No.
What a jerk.
It's not in the rule book,
Yeah, I think it's not a rule because I don't know, there's legitimate mistakes like what you saw yesterday that happened. That why would you penalize a legit mistake? But then, I mean, you have Schumacher. He in Raskaz just parks his car like he locked up the brakes, and then that you forfeited the entire qualifying session when he got the pole. Happened again with Mercedes with Nico Rosberg, I think in 14 or 15, where he overran the hairpin right after the casino square and caused a yellow flag right in front of his teammate who was on a flyer to secure pole. Yeah, but it's always a mistake. It always is. It always is. Oh, I locked him up. That's what it is. And
well, yet again, another thing IndyCar does better because if you stop qualifying in IndyCar, your 2 best laps are gone.
No way! I like that.
You gotta burn 3 rippers if you want to have a shot at being quick.
Oh, I like that.
I thought it was 4.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
They're other weekends, I'm assuming.
Other races.
So wait, what's the rule exactly? You said you have to put down 3 good laps and they take the best one. Is that what's happening, or am I misinterpreting it?
No, so if you draw a yellow or a red in practice session or qualifying session, excuse me.
Yep.
They take away your 2 fastest laps.
No shit.
So whatever they are, whatever your fastest laps are, they take away 2 of them.
Jeez.
So you basically have to run 3. You have to run 3 laps that are all fast to even have a shot at putting in a good result.
I like that.
If you bring out a caution or a red.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, if it's all green, you can do 1 lap and hit your lap. But
sure.
So theoretically in Formula One, the way it is, you could set your pole lap and then just smash it up.
Oh, I spun, and then the session's over. It's been done multiple times.
Huh? I didn't even know that.
And what if you went out first on the grid, ran 1 lap, and just fucking buried it? Whoops.
They should have Mazepin do that. Think about it. Get Haas right up on the podium.
Well, Mazepin will do it without his without his own
He
will.
literally might end up, dude. Haas could put him out first, and he could get the pole because he's gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, they could. I mean, usually the Haas cars, the lower down cars, are the first ones to go out for qualifying. They could do that.
I love
one of them sacrifices to get the other one into Q2 or something like that. They could absolutely do that. Hell yeah. They should be listening
Make sure
into
they
the
listen to this podcast.
Exactly.
It was just funny watching all the back markers though, hoping and praying for a caution because they were just like on lap like 50 with the original tires, just like fucking just rolling around at 60 miles an hour. Where is the yellow? Hopes as if it was gonna save them. That's what it takes.
It didn't happen.
No. So anyway, well, the next episode we will be having plenty to talk about because
Yes.
Indy 500.
Yes, hopefully.
We've got-
It's been great having you two on, by the way. This has
Yeah.
been a lot of fun, and I hope you guys have been having as much fun
Yeah,
as
you guys
we
have a lot more to talk about than
Yeah.
us.
And
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, and hopefully you guys can come back for the next episode once the Indy 500 and maybe even a few of our own racing weekends have happened, and we can discuss what we've kind of built up here, if you guys are willing.
And hopefully the Formula One race will be
absolutely.
worth talking about.
There won't be a Formula One race to talk about. Unless we do it like weeks
Oh,
and weeks
thank
later.
God.
No, thank God.
Yeah, what is the deal with that? Why do they gap them so odd? It's like some are 2, some are 3.
Because they travel the world.
Oh God, they're luxury planes.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I was a pussy answer.
Oh, poor them. They have to go from one country to another. It takes like 10 hours. Big deal.
You're the one that's scared about driving 3-4 hours to go to a kart track.
Yeah, because I'm tired. It's 5 in the morning.
You don't even have to cross different time zones.
See, that's the nice thing about outlaw cars. We race during the day
That's
and
cool.
at night.
Well, with us though, if they
Not in the rain.
if they just split it up into 2
We race in
days.
the rain.
Do you really?
Well, like the indoor track, we'll race when it's raining, but the outdoor track, we can't race when it's raining. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
sludge.
Oh man.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
All right, gents. Well, I think this has been a wonderful episode of the Formula Hooligan podcast, and I think this is a good time to wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a lot of fun, as I said. I'm Alex Gomes. You are.
Charlie,
You guys are.
Aaron.
I guess you're Hooligan 3 and 4 now. Congrats.
All right, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next episode where we get to talk about our recap of the Indy 500. See you later.
Heck yeah.
Adios, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for being patient.